What's going on, Movie Meals?
Sup, guys?
Movie Meals!
Time for another spoiler review.
Yeah, so we just, if you saw our non-spoiler for Doctor Strange, this is all spoilers. We're getting into it for as far as our nerd brains will take us. And since Kyle made me start in the non-one, I'm going to go again in the spoiler one, because he thought I was going to say he had to go. But you see what I did there?
Ooh, we are so white. Okay.
So, quick recap. You know, my big positives was I love the acting, the directing. I thought the visuals were great, and I thought the humor worked for the most part. Now, there were some certain scenes I really liked. Some of the fights were really fun to watch.
Yeah.
They were really cool to watch,
Yeah.
man. There were a few moments, and I guess I didn't mention this in my last negatives, but because it's not really a negative. There were a few moments I was like, I can kind of tell that's green screen a little bit. And part of me wonders if 3D would actually change that experience, and maybe that scene is meant to be in 3D. But that honestly was just me being a film snob, to be honest. But I really liked the opening fight. Was really cool with Tilda Swinton. I liked the outfits. All the vision, like when they're jumping through all these dream sequences, and he's going through all the realms at first before he says the "teach me" line. It's really cool. It made me he at the end he's floating through the giant dimension. I don't remember what you call it, but all it made me think of was Ant-Man, when Ant-Man goes super duper tiny.
I think that was the point, though.
I think it was too, but they look different, but also similar.
I think for those of you that have seen Ant-Man, I think that dimension that he goes to when he really shrinks down to like the tiniest form, I think that was one of the many dimensions.
I think so too.
But I think that was mostly just a tease for Doctor Strange for like the hardcore sweaty fans, probably. Because I don't think
No, I'm with you there.
I don't think the casual fans would be like,
no one had any idea.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I loved the performances. I thought the humor did work for me at most parts. I did get the Tony Stark, like, I'm a cocky a-hole vibe, but it worked for me in just about every... I mean, I don't even think it was Benedict Cumberbatch's lines that were trying to be humorous that I didn't find humorous. For a lot of the stuff, to be honest, it was a little bit of Wong, which a lot of people really hated, or like would hate me saying coming out of the theater. I really enjoyed the character.
Yeah.
There were a few tiny moments I was like, really? Like we went this way with it? But for the most part, yeah, I really liked it. The visuals and the fights were great. I did think Mads Mikkelsen was a good villain, but he's in the same echelon of good villains. He's not our great villain yet. He wasn't that great villain but I also wasn't expecting him to be.
Yeah.
But I really like him. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in Rogue One, man. But yeah, so I'll jump back in after you, but you go.
Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome as Doctor Strange. I mean,
He's just as perfect as Robert Downey Jr. is as Tony Stark.
It just goes to show that Marvel just knows how to cast people, man. No, I think Benedict Cumberbatch nailed the part. I think he nailed the part so much of Doctor Strange, because with the origin of Doctor Strange, it is literally about this man who has his life changed completely, and he's trying to figure out how to fix it, and then finally he just opens himself up to learning something else and learning something new and
Not caring about himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting out of his own ego.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this movie exactly does. Yeah, it's another origin story, but it's another origin story of a superhero done right to me. And I thought Benedict Cumberbatch nailed the part. At first, in the beginning of the movie, I was worried that he was just going to be this sarcastic, egotistic guy. But as the movie kept going on, you saw different levels of
So it's progression.
Yeah, exactly. You saw different levels going through the movie. You saw him angry. You saw him sarcastic. You saw him witty. You finally see him happy at the end of the movie, being the Sorcerer Supreme. I think Benedict Cumberbatch just nails his part, as does the rest of the cast especially. What?
He's not the Sorcerer Supreme yet.
Yeah, he is.
He's got a little bit more to learn.
He's the only Sorcerer Supreme. There's no other Sorcerer Supreme.
He will become that title, but he has not gained that title
He's
yet.
the Sorcerer Supreme, guys.
No, they even said there's not one left.
Anyway.
Kyle!
The rest of the cast is really good as well. Mads Mikkelsen, you're right.
Doesn't want to get into a nerd fight.
Not right now, anyway. But I thought Mads
Mads
Mikkelsen in the villain part was kind of a small little highlight. Like, I agree with you, it may not be the best villain, but I think he's a little bit better compared to some of the other Marvel villains that we've seen in a while, and I thought that he did the part really well. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordor, I thought was awesome. I thought he was a good right-hand man who was trying to juggle between knowing who to like side with and trying to figure out like who he's supposed to follow as well. So I think he did a really good job acting with that. The cast was just awesome. And Tilda Swinton, like, not only for acting, but also with the fighting scenes. That was awesome to watch.
She is phenomenal as an actress. Man.
Yeah, I was just blown away by how the cast was able to pull off this movie. So that's like one of my big highlights.
I gotta say, for the villain, the thing I think they did here, and maybe this is why it didn't work, is some of the villain, like Thor 2, Iron Man 2, these villains, they were just bad to be bad. They were mustache twirling villains, but you didn't have any emotion behind it, and they tried to give you that emotion. Where here, they didn't really try.
I thought the scene between Mads Mikkelsen and Benedict Cumberbatch, that first scene where they really meet each other, was a scene where it was working for me anyway.
I thought it worked too, but it was, like it wasn't... We heard that his family died, and that's why he came to learn the magic. But, like in different Thor movies, we get to see, and in other of the films, it's been like, we've had flashes to the villain and like why they're evil. This is the reason. But for him, we just heard about it.
Yeah.
We never really got a story, and that might, because I did like him a lot, and I like him more than the villain in Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 and some of these other films. And I actually think I liked him. I'd have to see it again, but I might have liked him more than the Guardians villain.
Yeah, I know I did.
And maybe it might be because they didn't really set it up, because they knew our next villain's going to be Chiwetel Ejiofor's character moving forward. Let's focus on Doctor Strange, and this villain is a piece around him. Thinking about it that way makes me like the villain more. But I love Mads Mikkelsen, man. It worked. For negatives, again, it comes to the humor. Sometimes it felt like laugh out loud belly laughter. It was trying to be that, and it shouldn't have been that. Where like a lot of the times, what I like about Marvel movies, when you get the big laugh, it's not expected, and sometimes it was like, ooh, here's the big laugh. Like I did giggle at the Beyonce thing. Like when he said the Beyonce line, I was like, that's funny. That's funny. Then he's listening to it later, and he's doing that, and I was like,
I got a kick out of that.
See, I liked it, but it was also, it took me out of it for a second. I was like, this is a funny moment just outside of this film. It was interesting for me, but I really did like it overall. There were a few scenes where I was too being like, this is clearly CGI, but that's not the end of the world. That's me being a film snob. Besides that, I'm not really thinking any other negatives.
I'm surprised we jumped to the negatives that quick. Okay.
Did we have more positives?
The visuals.
I already talked about the visuals.
I didn't talk about the visuals.
Well, talk about the visuals.
They were cool. Anyway, negatives. No, the visuals in this are spectacular. They're just awesome.
They really are.
I mean, I was hearing all these rumblings like, this is going to be a trippy movie. This is like, the dimensions are going to be awesome.
It was very trippy.
And I was just like, okay, that's all hype. I'll see it for myself, and I'm blown away. Guys, you just at least just watch this movie for the visuals. Because on the big screen, it is awesome.
Think of Inception, but then like put it on steroids. That's what this movie is. Like,
it's that.
With no dreams. but no.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Yeah. Words of wisdom, Alex. Thank you. No, I agree with you. Like, they are pretty trippy, but they're really cool, especially the big fight scene.
Yeah, for
really
sure.
Cool. What else?
Anyway, then I will go into the negatives. The guy, they brought in another writer, Dan Hammond, right? I believe he wrote some episodes most of the episodes of Community. Because as
Dan
Harmon, thank you.
I think that's how you say it. I don't have my technology.
I'm pretty sure it's Dan Harmon. I could tell that for most of the parts that it was Dan Harmon humor, because he just has like a different kind of. It's more of a sarcastic, witty kind of banter humor that he really has, and that wasn't a thing that took me away necessarily. It was just the spots that were. I guess I'm just giving I was giving a shout out to Dan Harmon, because he did do a really good job with like the funny parts.
No, he did. I'm not laughing at you. That's what you thought. I was laughing at something else.
But at the same time, there was a lot of moments where the humor didn't hit well for me, just because it was either in weird parts where I wanted the intensity to keep going to have the stakes be higher, but then they would bring down those stakes with the humor, which I didn't think was landing.
We know that he was brought in to do a few joke rewrites, or like, I mean, Kevin Feige came out, not necessarily joke rewrites, but said he was coming in to bring a little bit of that funny wit humor that's on Community and so many of his other projects. He has more critically acclaimed projects. And to me, that just said the same thing kind of Rogue One said. The studio looked at it and said, we really like what you have, but it's not what follows our pattern, and we need it to follow that. Let's bring in a great writer, a really good writer, a great storyteller, and let's have him spice it up a little bit. And I don't think, to be honest, I couldn't tell. Like, it felt Marvel to me, and I think that worked. There were a few moments the jokes were trying to be, to me, too, like, they were really trying to be funny, and when people are trying to be funny, they're not funny, you know? And to me, I couldn't tell if that was Dan Harmon or if that was... Sorry if we're butchering your name, because we're pretty positive that's around it, but we could be wrong.
Good job, Ed. Good job.
Community dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Funny show. Funny dude. But he... Like, I couldn't tell the difference if maybe that was Scott Derrickson, the original writer, or whatever happened. So, to me, it all worked. I like the humor, and what I really want to see is Doctor Strange talk to Tony Stark. I want to see this so bad. I want to see Tony Stark be like, no, that's not how it works. You were a man of science. Let me tell you how it works. Yeah. And then he's like, no, magic is real. And then he's like, I've seen aliens. And then he has a freak out like in Iron Man 3 with the little boy who's like, how'd you get out of the wormhole? And he's like, crayons! And he's like coloring. I should be an actor.
He did do that. I hope that happens though. Like Doctor Strange just leaning in next to him, and then Tony Stark just has a freak out of some kind.
Magic is real. No, it's a good film, man. It really is.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie.
Any more thing you want to talk about? Any specific? I'm trying to think back to the
credit scenes. I thought were pretty cool.
Let's give a talk about that.
You want to start with the mid-credits one?
Actually, I think I'd rather start with the end one, because I know the middle one's we're gonna get into talk about other movies. Where this one we'll just talk about Doctor Strange 2.
Okay,
take it away. Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the second one came on, and I was like, all right, this looks like Luke Cage walking in to like a shop. Like that's the first thing I thought. And we were talking about that on the way home. We felt the same thing. Yeah. Because I mean, you're really fresh off of Luke Cage. I finished it a while ago, like a true nerd. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And so that's the first thing I thought of, and I was like, where are we going? And then at first I thought it was Doctor Strange doing the portal opening, and then they focused on the sparks for a while, and then showed that it was actually in a workshop. And then at first I was like, are we going to see Tony Stark for some reason? I don't know why, but I just went straight to Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. And then we saw that it was, it's Mordo, right? Yeah. Okay, you're nerdier in this stuff than I am, so I want to make sure I get it right. But yeah, Mordo, seeing him, and I know he's a big bad in the comics. I know he's a big villain of Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was coming throughout the film. And so to see him then all of a sudden take his power and realize, I can take power. Sorcerers are the problem. It makes me really excited for Doctor Strange 2, because I want to see these two now. Because the thing they did so well is I really liked his character. And they built his character up to you sympathize with him. You're like, I understand where he's coming from. So now it kind of makes me feel like Captain America Civil War a little bit. I like both sides a little bit. I mean, I'm with Stephen Strange.
They also developed the relationship between Doctor Strange and Mordo very well, I thought.
I did too.
So it's going to up the stakes of Doctor Strange 2 even more.
I'm with you there. What else did you think about it? Or do you want to jump to the second one?
No, I echo everything you said. I thought it was Luke Cage at first, and I realized it was Mordo, and then I saw that he was going to become bad. I mean, I saw it coming because I just know the character a little bit.
Because we're nerds.
But it made me happy, though, knowing that that's what we're going to get in the future, is that we're going to get Chiwetel Ejiofor as an awesome
great
villain.
Actor, dude.
Yeah, he is top-notch for sure.
It's a great cast.
So I'm looking forward to that. All right, mid-credits scene.
Real quick, side note. If you took, pretended all the Marvel movies were one big movie, that cast might be the greatest cast in the history
It's
of
called
film.
Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah! It's coming!
It's coming.
Sorry, side note. So you want me to go first?
Yeah,
go first. First of all, when he was talking, I was like, the first thing I thought of was Iron Man 3, when Tony's like, all of a sudden, like, what do I do? And then all of a sudden it's Bruce Banner, and he's like, I'm not that kind of doctor. Like, that's not what I do. And so it was funny to see that it was Thor, and he's like talking to him. He's like, so you brought your super powerful brother, who's already attacked the Earth, back to New York? He's like, yes. And the joke with the beer and the magic I thought was great. Clever, and seeing how Thor can just chug it back, and the Thor's like, oh wow, fills back up, and nothing wrong with a thing of more beer. I really liked it. And then him saying, All right, I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, that is okay. So we're assuming Benedict Cumberbatch, Stephen Strange are going to be in Thor 3. That's what it looks like.
That's what
we don't know for sure. There's no Marvel has not come out and said it unless this is what they're doing.
Actually, there was photos leaked that they were in New York. Loki and Thor were in New York, and they were heading towards Doctor Strange's place.
I think I was telling this to this guy. We know a lot about Thor 3, what it's going to be. Thor 3 is going, I think, to be one of the best Marvel movies to date. You can call it here, A-Town said it. I think it's going to be one of the best ones we've had.
I hope so.
I think it's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be epic. I think the first half will take place in space. I think we'll lose Thor not like he'll die, but he'll stay somewhere in space for a while.
You mean Hulk?
Hulk, yes, Hulk. And then Thor and Loki are going to go... I think they're going to realize the problem they've done, because Loki goes back and forth. I think he's going to realize the problem. They're going to deal with what he did at the end of Thor 2 throughout the first half of Thor 3, realize the problem, have to go find Odin, and they're going to need his help. And I think it's going to end with Thor looking at Doctor Strange saying, we need you, we need the Avengers, we need everyone. Because Doctor Strange has the knowledge now. He has the books. He's got Wong. He's got all these people around him that are going to take... He knows, and he's now learning what Infinity Stones are. The rest of the Avengers have a base knowledge. Thor has more. We know Thor knows much more about this.
Yeah.
Because of those weird vision bath thing.
In the hot tub, yeah.
In the hot tub.
Yeah.
It's going to be... Thor 3 has just now become one of my most anticipated, if not the most... Okay. There's a Star Wars movie coming out every year. Nothing will ever be beyond that. But maybe my second most anticipated movie. Is it next year?
Yeah.
I want it tomorrow. What do you think, buddy?
You know what? As you explained it, it kind of just dawns on me like these scenes, these end credit scenes, like not only are they teases, but they really are just like inside looks into what we're about to have. And I think I echo exactly what you're saying. I think that Doctor Strange will be in Thor Ragnarok, and I think the stakes are going to be way high for this movie as well. Because it's
Ragnarok means the destruction of worlds.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's going to be half the movie's going to be Thor Ragnarok, and half the movie's pretty much going to be a version of Planet Hulk. And I cannot wait to see it because it's just going to be a crazy out of space.
You got
adventure.
Kate Blanchett playing Death, dude.
Yeah,
you got Jeff Goldblum in there.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? You got Carl Urban, the man from Pete's Dragon.
He killed it at Pete's Dragon. That's why he got the part in
Pete's Dragon. Go check it out, man. It's a fun film.
I think you are absolutely right though, because of this scene.
I don't get that
and everything that we have seen from Doctor Strange, how he's going to probably figure out about all these Infinity Stones, just like how Thor is going to also. I think Thor Ragnarok will become that big stepping stone to gather everyone together to fight Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. I think this is going to be the the next step into like this awesome adventure movie.
I really hope Thor just like shows up to Cap. He's like, we got a huge problem. And Cap's like, I'm not gonna do it with Tony. You know, I'm not. And Thor just like punches him. And he's like, we have a bigger problem than that Earth fight you guys had. Neither of you called me. I hope there's a little joke about that. I can't wait to see it, man. The Guardians are gonna tie in. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We're gonna get I want to see Rocket Raccoon have a conversation at like a table with Tony Stark and Doctor Strange, with maybe like a little bit of Scott Lang in there just to be funny.
Oh, and yeah.
We're gonna have everyone: Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Vision, the Guardian. Oh my God, I'm a nerd. I'm blowing up.
No,
if this is what you think of me now, wait till Star Wars Episode 8 comes out, and I will lose everything I have.
Yes, you will for sure. No, the end credit scenes were very well done.
Oh, they were so good.
I mean, they just got me more amped, especially for Thor Ragnarok. Like, I'm more than ready for this movie. I can't wait for it to come out next year.
Me too. So, score stays the same for you? 7.5 out of 10?
7.5 out of 10. It could be persuaded later down the road. But
it seems low to me, man. I feel like you're low blowing this thing. I think you got to see it again. I think you're gonna jump it up.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna go 8.5. We're a whole number apart, Kyle. For a Marvel film, I think in the history of our videos, we have never once been a whole number apart in a. It's been like 9.5 to 9.4.
Dang it!
We've never been this far apart in a Marvel film.
Sometimes you gotta switch it up, man. What can I say?
Again, we've got to see it again. It's got to happen.
Well, I would be down to
Gotta
see
happen.
it again.
So I'm sticking with my 8.5, 7.5. What'd you guys think, man? Thanks for watching our spoiler review. Follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
Check out our friends at the Q&K Session Podcast.
Please do.
They're awesome. They might have a little discussion about Doctor Strange. Both of them came to see it with us because we're all friends. It's not just the two of us. We
actually have more friends, guys.
We don't. But yeah, no, it was a good movie. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time in the theater.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to check it out again.
Yeah, for sure.
So guys, please comment, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff we know you do, and keep watching movies. That's what's most important, man. And Mom, I know you didn't see this movie, but thank you for watching.
See you guys.